are you?
Well, Mr. Orwell, I'm Time Traveler, but you can call me Time.
What are you doing here, Time?
I'm making a documentary. I'm going to take you on a journey through your own life. Are you ready? Let's go!
Where are we?
Your childhood. At Crossgates, the prep school you went to. Remember?
Of course, now I remember. I was born in India.
To the camera, please.
Oh. I was born in India to civil service parents. While we were rich enough to be considered upper class, we did not own any land, making me the pariah of Crossgates. Because of our relatively low income, my parents wanted me to take advantage of my knowledge, so they sent me here. I wet the bed constantly, and was punished for it, even though it was out of my control. Why did you show me this?
Because this is a defining moment in your life. It prompted you to write, such were the joys. This taught you what it was like to be poor and surrounded by those who had financial advantage. Do you understand?
What is this documentary about?
Follow me.
Shoot the elephant! It's rampaging in the city!
It's already killed somebody. You should kill it.
Maybe I don't want to shoot the elephant.
Shoot!
Wow, did you see that?
I wish I hadn't. In my younger adult days, I was part of the Imperial Police in Burma. It was what my father had done and what his father had done, so I decided to follow in their footsteps. I witnessed and acted in many things I wish I hadn't, now that I look back on them. At the time, I was just a pawn of imperialism.
Yeah, pawn. That's why you left the Imperial Police in 1928, after 6 years of service in Burma. I didn't see why you couldn't just keep following your family tradition.
I've always wanted to be a writer since I was young. I tried to run from it, but I can't anymore. This imperialism stuff is something I'm not fond of.
It looks like you had a strong political shift. I mean, from blindly following to leading your own path, rejecting imperialism for anarchy?
Which would later be refined to democratic socialism. Maybe it helped for Orwell to write his experiences in Burmese days, a hanging and shooting an elephant.
You guys shouldn't be able to see us.
Just trying to help with the documentary. As my friend was saying, Orwell's critically acclaimed essays A Hanging and Shooting an Elephant really shed light on what it was like for him in Burma. I mean, Orwell just went along with what he was told to do, but you can tell from his writing that he regretted his choices later.
I just watched a man be hung. Killed before his life is meant to be over. And now I'm just supposed to move on? And I'm just supposed to shoot the elephant because that's what everyone wants me to do. I'm leaving.
That's our cue! After him! Not here. This place was awful.
Hospital X, the place where you were treated as no more than a lab rat.
You remember your studies on the liver? Well, there's a man here with at least one.
I think he's talking about numero 57. He was one of the humans who was treated more like a science experiment. Here, living amongst the poor, it's one of the reasons why I support democratic socialism. Look, there I am, over there.
Where are you going?
I'm leaving. I've had enough of this hospital. It's nearly 19th century. The relationship between doctors and patients is that of literature and horror.
You're leaving? Why? To write books to support the specimen? I mean, the patients?
But not just for them, the benefit of the English language too. Orwell's works demonstrated a hatred towards anything that can stifle the people for two reasons. First, he wanted the working classes to be more equal in society. The second was for writing. Orwell expressed the belief in the prevention of literature, that bureaucrats were capable of directly controlling what was published, and dictators had an underlying influence on what society thinks. For this reason, he became a proclaimed democratic socialist and joined the British Independent Labour Party.
I'm beginning to feel sick. This place smells like death. Let's go.
Where were we this time? The Spanish Civil War? Did you know I served in it? I was wounded in the throat by a sniper's bullet, but I survived.
Nope.
Oh, the BBC headquarters? I also worked there during World War II after I was rejected from service. Although I left on my own to write, mostly criticism.
I'm gonna stop you there. We're at your home. Look, there you are. Writing Animal Farm, no doubt.
The creatures outside looked from pig to man, from man to pig, from pig to man again. But already it was impossible to say which was which.
Excellent writing, Mr. Orwell, but I simply can't publish this. It's just too controversial. I mean, you described the Russian Revolution using animals?
Eventually you got it published, right?
Of course. It took some time to find someone to publish it, but after that it was widely popular.
But it was already impossible to say which was which. Wow, what a story!
Thank you. Now tell me, what did you enjoy about it?
Your writing style is short and to the point. You intentionally avoid using figurative language, unnecessary words, and intricate language to get the raw meaning of what you want to say, and it contains political messages.
You explained it all in politics in the English language.
Exactly. I believe language is sloppy because there are too many words that are unnecessary. People could easily be tricked. I have 6 rules. 1. Never use a metaphor, simile, or other figure of speech which you are used to seeing in print.
2. Never use a long word where a short one will do.
3. If it is possible to cut a word out, always cut it out.
4. Never use the passive where you can use the active.
5. Never use a foreign phrase, a scientific word, or a jargon word if you can think of an everyday English equivalent.
6. Break any of these rules sooner than say anything outright barbarous.
I admit I break those rules sometimes.
Quite an interesting writing style, I'd have to say. You have a really strong appeal in ethos, pathos, and logos.
Use pathos in Animal Farm through Boxer, a hard-working horse much like the working class in the actual world. When he dies from overworking, the reader is led to believe that Napoleon is even worse for overworking him. It conveys the message of imperialism and real life of Stalin's influence.
And in How the Poor Die. The imagery in the essay helps us visualize what is occurring in Hospital X, the mistreatment of patient and the things they had to overcome, even from walking on the grounds barefoot to being watched like a specimen. It creates sympathy for the people in the essay and makes the reader more intrigued, but also helps readers to understand Orwell's point of view and makes it easier to interpret the message communicated.
Strong use of rhetoric. Shall we move on?
We shall. I recognize that. I'm writing 1984.
Correct. This novel will become much more famous than Animal Farm.
Wow, incredible. I have to admire your use of plot, theme, character, and setting.
Right? Some common themes I noticed in his work were dangers of totalitarianism, control of information and history, and language as mind control. These themes show up commonly as traits of governments, and unless it was democratic socialism, something Orwell wanted to avoid, he stressed these themes to highlight the negative direction society was headed.
And he uses characters to express political messages and dangers. Like in Animal Farm, he talks about the Russian Revolution, with each of the characters representing someone in real life. It helps to convey his message in a way that even uneducated people can understand.
Excuse me. It's all about the political purpose. I use those themes, characters, plots, and even settings to express my voice in the way the world is running. After all, every line of serious work that I've written since 1936 has been written, directly or indirectly, against totalitarianism and for democratic socialism, as I understand it.
All of your works have some connection to daily life at the time, whether it be a world war, the Spanish Civil War, or the Russian Revolution.
Wir gewinnen immer mit Ölsee und Meeresacker. Die werden wiederkommen!
I had a lot of examples to prove my point about the enemy that is totalitarianism. And I just finished my new book, 1984. It warns of a society in which the government goes as far as to control thoughts.
You show such in-depth beliefs based on your experiences and readings, telling what you think with brute honesty, yet managing to defend your position with emotional and logical evidence.
Like in How the Poor Die, when he uses his own experiences to depict how inhumanely the poor were treated, an example of his pathos-embellished language.
And in Shooting an Elephant, he describes his political revelation about why dictators do the things the way they do, and gives his honest, logical reasoning why he shot the elephant instead of standing by what he believed to be right. Simply the pressure of the people was too much.
Okay, nerds, break it up. Break it up.
Well, I thought it was flattering.
I also know a lot about how Orwell...
We gotta get out of here quick. You may just be a skeleton beneath the dirt, but your legacy has proven to be timeless. Even today, in 2019, your name is used as an adjective. Orwellian.
Is it really? Does it mean eloquent or poetic? Does it pertain to language itself?
It refers to something that's destructive to the welfare of society.
Oh. Well, at least it's a profound word.
You have had quite an impact aside from just the word Orwellian.
Your works, in particular 1984 and Animal Farm, foreshadow corrupt political systems. With the current president proclaiming that most news sources are fake news, the relevancy of Animal Farm's element of propaganda is apparent. In addition, a message that you conveyed through 1984 is a real fear today. In the end, the party would announce that 2 and 2 made 5, and you would have to believe it.
And this is where you will lie forever after your death.
The This is surreal.
Hang on. You're dead. I mean, I'm dead. You're supposed to be in the ground.
Well, you see, this time traveler is taking me on a journey to see my future.
There's 2 time travelers?
No, time is just a strange, non-linear, tangled mess. That's me, traveling here, at a different time.
Oh, so I die of tuberculosis and I'm buried here. When will this happen? 20 years?
You have 2 minutes left.
2 minutes? That's hardly enough time. What am I supposed to do now? I don't want to die.
Of course you've done enough. You have taught me how to properly utilize the English language.
And yes, from you, or me, I have learned that society can be manipulated in the subtlest ways.
And you have taught me the importance of individual freedom.
Any last words? I guess I want the people to know, until they become conscious, they will never rebel. And until after they've rebelled, they cannot become conscious.